Hello, everybody, and welcome to this Be Red Cross Ready presentation. Thank you for your interest in joining us today. My name is Ella Landegger, and my co-presenter is Linda Collis. Our technical assistant is Jose Bueno, and our moderator is Tom Long on the chat line. Today, we will be talking briefly about preparedness, basics, and COVID-19. On the next slide, before we begin the presentation, let's cover some housekeeping items. If you could please mute your computer as well as turn off the video, as we find it helps keep distractions to a minimum as well as makes the audio stream much better. If you need to find your speaker, just wiggle your cursor in the middle of a computer screen, which is the image on the left, or on a phone, you will see the chat up at the top and the controls for your microphone and camera down on the lower left corner. There is a chat line. Please feel free to post comments and questions or additional information in the chat line while we are presenting. Again, to find the chat box, look for the bubble and click on that. You might need to wiggle the cursor in the middle of your screen for it to pop up. In that writing area, please type your questions and comments. Tom Long is the moderator on the chat box. Periodically, he will bring forward your chat box items, especially those that he knows that are not being covered in the presentation. He is familiar with it, so he'll know if something might be coming up anyway. Some of our sessions are recorded and the chat will be viewable later. We might post a link, attachment, questionnaire, or a quick poll at the end of the session. These are to inform us whether we are communicating the message well. Many of our sessions, like I said, are recorded, but we do not require your information about your contact information unless you'd like to send us follow-up materials. So let's begin. The American Red Cross provides medical first aid, supports our military families, reconnects families, and provides 40% of the nation's blood. However, the Red Cross is probably best known for responding to disasters. Communities across the United States and around the world face a variety of natural hazards: tsunamis, volcanoes, earthquakes, winter storms, landslides, mudslides, infestations, as well as droughts, wildfires, floods, thunderstorms, tornadoes, and hurricanes. Experience tells us that these can have a huge impact on individuals and the community. We also know that the more prepared a community is, the more resilient it is in its recovery. Notice on the map the light green in Florida. That indicates that hurricanes and tornadoes particularly affect us. In addition, unfortunately, the most common disaster that the Red Cross responds to daily is home fires. On average, we respond to a home fire every 8 minutes, and we aren't even called to every home fire. Please join us next week for that session. These disasters impact thousands of households, so please join us as we start covering them, because we know the odds are that disaster will strike. They happen often, they happen with little or no warning, they happen anywhere and at any time. In our area, we do try to prepare for fires, hurricanes, flooding, thunderstorms, tornado, and earthquakes. Luckily, no winter ice storms or volcanoes in this area. But now we have a new threat called coronavirus, or COVID-19. Today, we're going to address the basic preparedness essentials for any and all of these emergencies and help you to be Red Cross ready. Linda, take it away.
Next slide. So on this slide, we're talking about odds are that the disaster will strike. And as Ella said, they happen often and sometimes without warning. They can affect any community. It's a disaster if normal response systems are overwhelmed, property is damaged or destroyed, and people are hurt. Right now, we're facing a pandemic, the coronavirus and COVID-19. Next slide. It is up to you to be ready. In any of these disasters that we've talked about, a lot of people assume that someone else will be there to help. However, resources just aren't there to support everyone immediately. First responders, disaster organizations, government agencies, and hospital emergency rooms do their best. But on average, these groups are staffed and prepared for normal day-to-day operations, and resources may be limited during a disaster. The truth is we have to depend on ourselves first. Why? Because the roads may be impassable. Utilities may be unavailable. Hospitals and first responders could be overwhelmed, and banks, grocery stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and workplaces may be closed for days. You may also need to help others, such as members of your household, your neighbors, and those who have functional or access needs. Do not count on receiving help right away. Next slide. So now we're going to talk about you can prepare. All of us can and should be prepared to help ourselves and our households. Will preparation be perfect? No. Will preparation make things quick, easy, or painless? Not always. But planning and preparation will help you to be safe and recover quickly. What does it mean to be prepared? If you want to, you can add that to the chat. Give us a response on how you feel that you're prepared. When we are prepared, we can take protective actions to be safe. We react in the right ways. We adapt to tough challenges, and we recover more quickly from difficulties. Next slide.
So what does it take to be prepared? To be Red Cross ready, you need 3 things. Get a kit. Your kit should contain the supplies you will need at home or can easily carry with you if you have to evacuate. It can be a backpack, a box, a suitcase. You can also add a copy of your documents and additional lists of what to take in your kit. 2, make a plan. You should identify the steps you will take to respond to specific disasters. For each disaster, decide who in your household will do what, where you will go, and how you will communicate with each other. 3, be informed. Finally, it is important that you are informed. Learn how you will get information if a disaster occurs and what resources are available in your community. This will allow you to quickly respond to help yourself, your household, and your community. Now, Linda will help us look at each of these in more detail.
Next slide. If disaster strikes in your community, you might not have access to food, water, electricity, a medical facility, or even a drugstore. Preparing a disaster kit for your household is an important step to keep everyone safe and healthy during a disaster. To build your kit, think about what you use on a daily basis and what you might do if those resources were limited or not available. Prepare a go bag. It's a mobile version in case you need to evacuate. Your basic supplies include, start with the basics: water, non-perishable food, flashlights, and battery-operated radios. You need supplies for every member of your household, especially medications or any life-sustaining items members of your household need to maintain health, safety, and independence. You want to remember important documents such as a driver's license. You need a change of clothing, a blanket, paper and pens. Remember, you may be without electricity and you may only have the amount of water that you have stored. Considering assembling 2 kits of supplies. In one kit, you put everything you will need to stay at home for at least 3 days, as you are able to work to gather enough supplies in this kit to last for 2 weeks. The other kit should be a mobile kit, something that you can use to move with and when you evacuate. Next slide. Ella, do you want to take this one?
Sure. Your plan should include the key details. Identify 2 ways to evacuate from every room in your home, whether it's a door or a window or some other way. And so not only how to evacuate from your home, but also how would you leave your neighborhood and how you would leave your town, depending on how big the disaster is. Plan what to do in case you are separated during a disaster. Choose 2 places to meet, one right outside your home in case of a sudden emergency, such as a fire, and one outside the neighborhood in case you cannot return home or are asked to evacuate. Don't forget to consider any transportation challenges that might be encountered by individuals who use mobility assistive equipment or those who don't have access to a vehicle. An important part of your disaster plan is how you will communicate, especially if you and members of your household are not together when the disaster hits. Make sure each member of your household has contact details for everyone and that they keep that information with them at all times in their purse or in their wallet. But you should always have a written piece of paper that lets you know how to communicate with people. If you are without power for an extended period of time or have to evacuate, it will be important to have a place to stay. It's a good idea to find a place close if you have to leave because of something like a home fire, and someplace further away in case the entire community is impacted by something like a hurricane, flood, or tornado. And if the authorities encourage you to shelter in place, ensure that all household members are aware of any actions they must take and where in the home they should go. Once you have your plans developed, practice, practice, and practice again. Review the plans with everyone in your household. If anyone has a personal support network or requires assistance, be sure to review the plan with them as well. Practice with everyone, members of your household, your personal network, and anyone else that you would be relying on during such an emergency or disaster. Linda?
Next slide. We're going to talk about this being informed. We talked a little about being informed when we talked about how important it is to know what hazards you should prepare for, but it's more important to consider how you'll communicate in an ongoing process. Here are some of the things you should do. Know your community, how it warns the members of the community about a disaster. Some communities have outdoor sirens. Others depend on media and smartphones to alert residents of severe weather or dangerous events. Use an NOAA weather radio or listen to a local station on a battery-powered radio or television for updated information. This allows you access to important information even if the power is out. You may also want to consider having a list of local stations in your disaster kit. Understand the difference between a watch and a warning and how to respond to each. A watch means there's a potential for a specific type of weather event or hazard. Be alert. Start making preparations. Monitor weather and local emergency broadcasts and be ready to take immediate action if conditions worsen. A warning means that a specific type of severe weather or hazard is imminent or already occurring. You should take immediate action to protect yourself when a warning is issued. Learn about an area before you travel there. Know what disaster risks they face and how to protect yourself. For instance, when visiting an area known for earthquakes, know what to do when the shaking starts. Next. Ella, you want to talk about the tools?
Sure. These are some of the additional tools to help you and your loved ones, as well as everyone in your community, to prepare for disasters. As I mentioned, use the contact cards to make sure everyone in your household can reach someone if disaster strikes. Just like with your plan, practice using the Safe and Well website. Once registered, you have the option of updating your Facebook and Twitter feeds. The apps and there's a lot of Red Cross apps, and the Safe and Well website are also available in Spanish. Download the Red Cross Emergency app, the First Aid app to your mobile device. And also for your children, download Monster Guard. These apps provide you with vital information in the event of a disaster. They're free and available on the App Store and Google Play. Remember, you can't count on technology alone. Phones break and lose their charge, cell coverage goes out, and phone lines become overwhelmed. Be sure you plan how you will communicate if these things are unavailable. If you have any questions, please do put them in the chat line. We really hope that you will be basically prepared for the types of disasters that threaten our area. To be Red Cross ready, be sure to create your kit, practice your disaster plan, and become informed about your community. So if we just shared with you the most basic information on how to be Red Cross ready, we're now going to change slightly in direction. Next slide. And we are now going to talk a bit about how to be fully prepared. And as I mentioned, we are going to talk about coronavirus or COVID-19. So right now we're going to cover some information about the current pandemic, COVID-19. Linda, on the next slide.
Okay. We are experiencing a pandemic of the coronavirus disease 2019, currently known as COVID-19, which is a respiratory illness, which is caused by a new virus and spreading quickly from person to person. Because COVID-19 is a new illness, much is still unknown about it. However, the best way to prevent illness is to avoid being exposed to the virus. A pandemic is the worldwide spread of disease. It poses a serious public health risk. As of this morning, April 30th, the Johns Hopkins Coronavirus Research Center reported over 6 million confirmed cases worldwide. The U.S. has over 1 million cases and over 60,000 deaths from COVID-19. Based on the currently available information, older adults and people of any age who have serious underlying medical conditions like diabetes, heart or lung disease might be of higher risk for the severe illness that this virus can cause. Other high-risk conditions such as asthma, renal failure, liver disease, severe obesity, or those who are otherwise immunosuppressed or compromised, such as a cancer patient who's undergoing treatment, are at high risk. Women who are pregnant should be monitored since it is not known if there is a potential risk with severe viral illness. However, today, data on COVID-19 has not shown increased risk. Call your healthcare provider for additional steps that you should do if you are a woman who is pregnant. Because of the virus is new, people have no immunity against it, and there is no vaccine to prevent the illness. That's why public health officials are recommending community-wide mitigation strategies, such as staying home, avoid physical contact, doing physical distancing, and good hygiene practices to stop the spread of COVID-19 and help keep everyone safe. Experts stress that slowing the spread of COVID-19 is critical to minimizing the number of people who get sick at the same time and protecting those that are of higher risk. That is why we must work together as a community to reduce the spread of the disease. Ella, do you want to tell us how it spreads?
Well, let's see. It spreads. Well, it spreads mainly from person to person. It is between people usually who are in close contact within one another, within 6 feet. It goes through respiratory droplets, which makes that sound really big, but it's really teeny weeny molecules that are produced when an infected person coughs or sneezes. These droplets can land on the mouth, the nose of people who are nearby, and can be possibly inhaled into the lungs to spread the disease. It can also be transmitted by touching a surface that has the virus on it and then touching your mouth, nose, or possibly even your eyes as they are wet, and it could go in through that way. According to a new study, it shows that the virus can live on some surfaces for up to 3 days. On the next slide, we talk about what can you do to protect yourself. Linda, you're a nurse. This is definitely your bailiwick.
Okay, so let's talk about what we can do to protect ourselves. What can we do to minimize the spread of the disease and keep ourselves and our loved ones and our neighbors safe? Number one, clean your hands often. Clean your hands often with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Soap and water are always preferable, but if they're not readily available, you can use hand sanitizers, but they must contain at least 60% alcohol. Next thing, avoid touching your eyes, your nose, and your mouth to prevent the virus from entering your body. It can come in through your eyes, your nose, and your mouth. Cover your coughs and sneezes. Cover your mouth and nose with a tissue when you cough or sneeze. Throw away used tissues in a trash can that's lined. Immediately wash your hands with soap and water for at least 20 seconds. Like I said, soap and water is preferable, but you can use the hand sanitizer. If you're without a tissue, cough into your upper arm and then wash your upper arm with soap and water. And if that's not available, use the hand sanitizer. Next step, clean and disinfect household surfaces daily and high-touch surfaces frequently throughout the day. High-touch surfaces include our phones. We're constantly touching them. Remote controls, counters, tabletops, doorknobs, bathroom fixtures, toilets, keyboards, tablets, and bedside tables.
Hey, I'm also going to jump in on this one. And let's not forget some of the things that are outside too. How about your mailbox, your car door, the front door, and your doorbell as well? That's things that other people even might come by and touch.
Okay, next slide. Now we're going to see a video.
Oh, don't hear the volume today. We heard it earlier.
So what this is Ella is showing us how to make a face covering, and she's going to explain it.
So you know what? Oops, no. If you can see me in the picture, you can take a t-shirt and cut out what is basically a long stretch with a cutout here. So you can cut this and put this over your face and tie a knot like this, and then take this one and lift it up high so you have a nice tightness across here as well as under your chin. Another simple way to make a bandana, and these are the illustrations right on the picture, is to take a bandana, fold it in half, fold it in thirds. You can insert a coffee filter in the middle of it if you would like to have extra layers of protection. We then take 2 elastic bands, which, somewhere they dropped in here, but you slide them in here right onto here and onto here, and you hook them, fold this in, and you hook this over your face and around your ears. It's a bit difficult to talk to you like this. So when you come home, after you've been outside and made sure this was tucked nicely above your nose and below your chin, you would come in and not touch the surface and drop the whole thing into a bucket or into your washing machine where you will be washing it without having touched it, and then go wash your hands as well. And I'd recommend as well washing your face when you've been out of the house. On the next page, we are showing some quick definitions because Linda's going to keep going on all of this. In particular, social distancing and staying home protects you and others. So social distancing is suggesting that you stay at least 6 feet apart. Isolation keeps people who are ill with COVID-19 away from others to prevent the spread of the illness, whereas quarantine restricts the movement of those who've been exposed to someone who has the illness until 14 days have passed, and we hope that they have not developed any symptoms and caught the illness. And the reason to do all of this is because some people are very asymptomatic. That means they don't show any of the signs of the illness, and unwittingly they can infect others. And we know that has happened quite a bit. On the next slide, Linda.
Okay, we're going to talk about staying connected, but practice physical social distancing. Avoid group settings and mass gatherings. Maintain a physical distance of about 6 feet between you and others when in public. Avoid close contact with people who do not share your home. Limit visits with family members and friends who do not share your household. It's an important time why we are doing all of this to strengthen social ties while maintaining physical distancing. We need each other now more than ever. You need to stay connected with your loved ones through video calls, phone calls, text, or social media. It's important not to allow anyone to feel alone. Next slide. We're going to listen to and follow the directions of your state and local authorities. Follow stay-at-home recommendations. Staying at home means that you may remain at home as much as possible and only go out to purchase essential supplies or visit medical professionals or leave during an emergency. It's important to use telemedicine services if you can, which enables you to communicate with your doctor over video, phone, or email rather than face-to-face. Unless you are showing signs of illness or have tested positive to COVID-19, going outside to exercise and walk your pets is okay. Remember to practice physical and social distancing by keeping at least 6 feet away from others. It's still important for us, and it's recommended that we should be using some kind of mask or face guard. Avoid close contact with people who do not share your home, and limit visits with family members and friends who do not share your household. Next slide. We're going to talk about severe symptoms. This is important. If you have any of these signs, we want you to call your doctor. Know the signs of severe symptoms. They are fever, cough, and shortness of breath. But emergency warning signs include trouble breathing, difficulty breathing, or shortness of breath, persistent pain or pressure in the chest, new confusion or an inability to arouse. If you see someone with bluish lips or face, then you need to call 911. Tell the operator you think you may have COVID-19 or your loved one may have COVID-19. Then contact your doctor and they will tell you exactly how to handle it. Now remember, a lot of these symptoms we listed, the trouble breathing, the persistent chest pain, they're similar to a cardiac event. In either case, you need medical attention. You need to call 911. We're aware of the fact that the diseases or emergencies, medical emergencies that happen are still happening. So they can be confusing. But with either of those, any of those symptoms, you need to call 911. Based on currently available information, older adults and people of any age who have serious underlying medical conditions like heart or lung disease or diabetes may be at a higher risk for severe illness. People with other high-risk conditions could include asthma and kidney disease and liver disease or severe obesity or otherwise immunocompressed. Women who are pregnant should be monitored. If you suspect that you have any of these symptoms that are severe, call your healthcare provider and call 911. Next slide.
I'll jump in, give you a break for a moment there, Linda.
Okay.
What to do if you're mildly sick and you're feeling not quite right? Stay home and call your doctor, please. The telephone doctor services now are excellent. When you're around others, wear a face mask if you are sick and before you enter a healthcare provider's office. If you're unable to wear a face mask, caregivers entering your room should be wearing a face mask. Follow the cough, sneeze suggestions of going in your elbow and throw away any used tissues in a lined trash can. Keep washing those hands regularly for at least 20 seconds. And yes, you can use hand lotion afterwards to help them recover. Do not share household items. For example, glasses, dishes, use disposable ones or wash them separately to make sure that they are really getting cleaned and not going to infect someone else. If possible, have the person who is ill in a separate room. This is known as home isolation. Have the person disinfect their own bedroom surfaces if possible, as well as using a separate bathroom. Again, so you try to avoid cross-contamination between the sick person and anyone who's healthy in the household. The healthy ones not in the sick room, we hope will be able to keep the rest of the house clean and disinfect the other areas. Visitors other than a caregiver are not recommended. Also, limit contact with pets and other animals. And when possible, have someone else care for your animals while you are sick. It's not really fair to your animals if you can't look after them properly. Next slide, how to be safe.
So I'll take it. Important things. Know the signs and symptoms. We've discussed them so that you know how to respond. If you are mildly ill, as she said, stay home and call your doctor. Help individuals at higher risk of severe illness, and you can do that by dropping off groceries for them so they don't have to go out to get those essential items. Protect yourself and your family. The way you protect it is knowing how it spreads. You clean your hands often, avoid close contact, practicing that social distancing of 6 feet. Take steps to protect others. Stay at home if you're sick. Cover your coughs and sneezes. Wear a face mask if you are sick. And we can't emphasize enough, you need to clean your surfaces and you need to disinfect. And then I'm going to let Ella talk about scams. She does it so well.
Oh, this is a tough one. Be aware of scams. Unfortunately, there are lots of people who will try to take advantage of people's fears. And the Federal Trade Commission does have some tips to help protect you and others. Remember, there are no quick cures. There are no vaccines. There's no pills, lotions, prescriptions, or anything else as yet. No over-the-counter products of any type that treat or cure COVID-19. Beware of viral videos suggesting potentially dangerous or toxic home preventatives, such as drinking excessive amounts of water, mouthwash, or all kinds of other things that we have seen. Very sadly, we've had reports of an older couple ingesting something and dying of it because they thought it would protect them. Please know there is nothing out there currently. Today is April 30th. Please do be careful. We also know that some of the symptoms are evolving, and we have listed the major ones. But as we keep moving forward, there are people who've had different symptoms, and we don't have all the answers. This does keep changing. Next slide, please. Again, we would like you to make a plan. Be aware that the COVID outbreak could last for a long time in our communities. Even as the states reopen some things, we as the Red Cross are going to keep using our masks and keep social distancing as much as we can while providing our services. So we'd like you to make a plan with your household members, friends, and family so that if someone is ill or is at greater risk, you can help protect each other. Pick up medicine so they don't have to go out. Refrain from entering someone else's home. Establish communications and call people regularly. Be in touch. Try to have 2 weeks worth of food supplies and medications at all times, because what if no one can get out from your house? It'd be better to have it in-house already. Practice social distancing and wear a mask if you do need to go out. Also, plan for your children's needs. Talk to your kids. Keep a schedule and maintain rules. I have 4 children, and I can absolutely attest to the absolute importance of keeping a schedule and maintaining rules, keeping life as normal as possible. Keep explaining what's happening, keep up with their schoolwork, and yourself. Be a role model for them while you're working from home. And whatever it is that you're doing, let them see how you behave, and they will hopefully be modeled upon you. Also, take care of your pets and show kindness to people. Kindness is contagious. Spread it around. It's a good thing. Emotions and feelings.
Okay, so let's talk about emotions and feelings. For many of us, COVID-19 has disrupted our routines and made everyday activities such as work and taking care of our loved ones challenging. These changes, on top of the general uncertainty around the pandemic, can create feelings of stress, fear, and nervousness. Know that these feelings are normal. People typically bounce back from difficult times. We will get through this. We will bounce back. We'll come back. Children and teens may respond more strongly to the stress and anxiety caused by COVID-19 and become frightened and worry about their loved ones will get sick. Take time to talk calmly and reassure children about what is happening in a way that they can understand. The following information can help you cope with stress and support others during this emergency. Know that 1, it's normal for people to have these types of feelings right now. Anxiety, particularly about being separated from loved ones. And that's where we go back to how important it is to maintain contact with our loved ones by video phone, by regular phone calls. And you can even send them a letter. It means so much to have that contact. Uncertainty about how long this situation will last. It's not just children who are concerned. It brings up a lot of questions about how are we going to be financially? How are our lives going to be when we get through this? We have a fear of getting sick. We get it, and also a fear of our loved ones getting sick and how we're going to handle that. We're going to fear about running out of essential supplies. We can feel guilt about not being able to fulfill responsibilities such as work or parenting or caring for a dependent. We can have thoughts of anger, blame, worry, fear. We can worry about our financial situations, about the loss of income. We can fear of being stigmatized or labeled because we became sick. We can also have feelings of boredom or isolation. What can we do about these? Next.
Well, luckily, there's lots of ways to try to cope with the stress and anxiety that are happening. People's reactions appear in different ways. Some people don't have any anxiety at all. It's not only how they feel, but it's also how they think and what they think about their sleeping habits and how they go about daily living and how they interact and getting along with others. Here are some of the steps that people have done to help cope. They connect with loved ones through video calls, phone calls, text, social media, and by writing letters and good old-fashioned cards. Stay informed with accurate, reliable information from credible sources. Avoid social media accounts and news outlets that promote fear or rumors and get you more stressed as you hear more crazy stories. Take care of yourself and monitor the physical health needs of your loved ones. Eat healthily, drink plenty of water, and get enough rest. Unless you are showing signs of illness or have tested positive for COVID-19, going outside to exercise and walk pets is okay. But don't forget to practice social distancing by keeping at least 6 feet away from others and wearing a mask if you are close to anybody. Please be patient with yourself and others. It's common to have any number of temporary stress reactions such as fear, anger, frustration, and so on, as we just mentioned. So hold an image in your mind of the best possible outcome. Make a list of your personal strengths and use these to help both yourself and others stay emotionally strong. Relax your body often by doing things that work for you. Take a deep breath, stretch, meditate, pray, engage in activities that you enjoy. If you are religious or spiritual, follow the practices at home that provide you with comfort and emotional strength. Draw, paint, read, do gardening, dance, sing, whatever makes you happy and relaxed. We highly recommend you take time out every day to practice the good stuff. We all have a role to play. Working together, we can slow the spread of this virus. As they say, we can flatten the curve and protect everyone in our community, including those most at risk. For more information on staying safe, please see redcross.org/coronavirus or cdc.gov/coronavirus. Tom, are there any questions on the chat line?
Right now, there are no questions. I think you're so involved in listening to your fantastic talk that.
I second that.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Questions. You covered it quite well.
We are trying. So in summation, Linda and I have covered a great number of things. And obviously we thank Tom for monitoring the chat line and Jose for having followed up right now on our slides.
Tom's the man.
There we go. We are going to sum it up right now is that for the basic essentials to be Red Cross ready, get a kit, make a plan, be informed. Regarding COVID-19, wash your hands, wear a mask, and stay 6 feet apart from people who are not in your household. We're just going to mention briefly as a teaser for next week's coverage, we'll be on fire safety, where we will talk about doing home fire drills, having a meeting place, and testing your smoke alarms monthly. And you can see in the final column some of the other topics that we hope to cover in upcoming Be Red Cross Ready slides. Again, on the next slide, we thank you. That's Linda Collis, Tom Long, Jose Bueno, and myself, Ella Landegger, as well as the rest of our team who are behind the scenes, who did editing and all kinds of other work. Yay, team. Please be Red Cross.
Yay, Tom, too.
I mentioned Tom.
Tom's the
If you
man.
found today's workshop helpful, please recommend it to your friends and neighbors and coworkers, and join us next week. We will be doing this again on Tuesdays at noon and Thursdays at 5. Each week we'll be covering a different topic. So please do join us. If you'd like more information or anything else the Red Cross provides, please check out redcross.org/prepare-Florida. That's redcross.org/prepare-Florida. Thank you for joining us.